Africa, a continent bursting with potential, vibrant cultures, breathtaking landscapes, and abundant resources, yet often portrayed as mired in poverty and conflict. This one-sided narrative isn't the complete story. It's time to delve deeper and uncover the truth. Understanding historical injustices and systemic barriers, from colonial legacies to global trade intricacies, will reveal the true story of Africa's development. Africa is not a monolith. It's a tapestry woven from 54 unique countries, each with its own history, culture, and challenges. To paint the entire continent with a single brushstroke is to ignore the incredible diversity that exists within its borders. We'll travel from the bustling metropolises of Lagos and Nairobi to the rural villages of Mali and Ethiopia, witnessing firsthand the stark contrasts that shape the African experience. We'll hear the stories of resilience and innovation, of communities overcoming adversity and striving for progress. From the bustling markets of Marrakesh to the serene beaches of Zanzibar, Africa is a continent of contrasts. Unraveling the complexities of Africa's development requires a nuanced approach. We'll move beyond simplistic explanations and delve into the interconnected factors that have shaped the continent's trajectory. Our journey will take us through the pre-colonial period, exploring the sophisticated empires and trading networks that once flourished across Africa. We'll examine the scars left by colonialism, the systematic dismantling of local institutions, and the exploitation of resources that continue to have repercussions today. From the political turmoil of the post-colonial era to the challenges of globalization and climate change, we'll leave no stone unturned. This is an invitation to challenge your preconceptions, to engage with diverse perspectives, and to emerge with a deeper understanding of Africa's complex journey. The Kingdom of Aksum in present-day Ethiopia flourished for centuries. It established trade routes that spanned the Red Sea. The Mali Empire under Mansa Musa amassed immense wealth through gold trade. These empires were part of a complex web of trade and cultural exchange. They were centers of learning and innovation, contributing to global knowledge.
The pre-colonial African landscape was not one of isolated tribes but of interconnected communities, bound by intricate trade networks. Goods like salt, gold, ivory, and spices flowed across the continent, fueling economic growth and cultural exchange.
This vibrant trade fostered innovation and new technologies.
Skilled blacksmiths forged tools and weapons essential for agriculture, hunting, and defense. Sophisticated agricultural techniques like terracing and irrigation allowed societies to thrive.
This legacy of trade and innovation challenges the notion of a continent frozen in time.
The narrative of Africa as a backward continent is a dangerous myth perpetuated by colonial powers to justify their exploitation. This myth ignores the evidence of advanced civilizations and innovative technologies that existed long before European intervention.
It's a narrative that has cast a long shadow over how Africa is perceived and treated on the global stage. Pre-colonial Africa was a continent of immense diversity, with a complex tapestry of empires, kingdoms, and societies.
The late 19th century marked the infamous scramble for Africa. European powers, driven by greed, descended upon the continent, carving it up like a prize.
The Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 formalized this division, drawing arbitrary borders. Europeans sought to exploit Africa's vast resources: gold, diamonds, rubber, timber.
The imposition of colonial rule was swift and brutal. African chiefs who resisted were often met with violence. Plunder and displacement. Colonialism wasn't just about political control. It was about economic exploitation on a massive scale. European powers viewed Africa as a source of cheap labor and raw materials, extracting vast quantities of resources.
This plunder left many African economies in ruins, their natural wealth siphoned off to enrich European nations. Railways and infrastructure primarily served the interests of the colonizers.
Railways transported resources to ports for export, facilitating the flow of wealth out of Africa. Local populations often bore the brunt of the labor, subjected to forced labor and inhumane conditions.
The introduction of cash crops disrupted traditional agriculture and led to food insecurity. Farmers became dependent on volatile global markets and vulnerable to price fluctuations.
Section 3. Seeds of Discord, sowing the seeds of future conflicts. Colonial powers exploited existing tensions, pitting groups against each other to maintain control.
This strategy fueled ethnic conflicts and political instability in many African countries. Arbitrary borders lumped together disparate groups, creating artificial nations with little shared identity.
This lack of cohesion has contributed to political instability and conflict. Understanding this history is crucial to acknowledging the root causes of Africa's challenges today.
The dawn of independence, high hopes and broken promises. The mid-20th century witnessed a wave of independence sweep across Africa as nations rose up to reclaim their sovereignty. From Ghana's independence in 1957 to South Africa's liberation in 1994, the continent pulsed with newfound freedom.
The people of Africa dared to dream of a brighter future, one where they could chart their own destiny and control their resources.
Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, and Julius Nyerere emerged as beacons of hope, calling for unity and self-reliance.
However, the path to independence was rarely smooth, and the euphoria of liberation soon gave way to the sobering realities of nation-building. Many nations emerged with weak institutions and underdeveloped economies, legacies of colonial rule.
The term neocolonialism defines the persistent influence and control by former colonial powers over newly independent African nations. This subtle domination often manifests in economic policies, trade agreements, and political interference, perpetuating colonial-era inequalities.
While African nations were politically free, they remained economically dependent, intertwined with global powers' interests. They depended on exporting raw materials to former colonial powers.
African nations, rich in resources, exported raw materials at low prices, importing finished goods at inflated prices. This unequal exchange perpetuated dependency, hindering local industry development.
International financial institutions shaped post-colonial economic policies. Loans came with strict conditions requiring austerity measures and privatization.
These policies, though well-intentioned, often harmed local economies, causing job losses and increased inequality.
The Cold War saw the US and Soviet Union vying for influence, supporting different sides in conflicts, and propping up dictators. This rivalry exacerbated tensions, fueling proxy wars and instability.
Neocolonialism, less overt than colonial rule, hindered Africa's development, with economic dependence and political interference, leaving Africa grappling with colonialism's legacy.
The post-colonial era in Africa has been marked by a turbulent struggle for stability, as many nations have grappled with internal conflicts, military coups, and widespread corruption. The fragility of many post-colonial states, coupled with the legacy of colonialism and the pressures of neocolonialism, created a volatile mix that often erupted into violence and instability.
The arbitrary borders drawn by colonial powers, often dividing ethnic groups and lumping together disparate communities, created a breeding ground for conflict. In many countries, the struggle for power and resources fell along ethnic lines, as different groups competed for control of the state apparatus.
This often led to cycles of violence and reprisal, undermining efforts at national unity and development. Military coups became a recurring feature of the post-colonial landscape as ambitious military leaders, often exploiting existing instability and public discontent, seized power from civilian governments.
These coups, while sometimes initially popular, often led to authoritarian rule, human rights abuses, and further instability. The constant threat of coups discouraged foreign investment, hindered economic growth, and undermined the development of democratic institutions.
Corruption, another pervasive problem in many post-colonial African nations, further eroded public trust in government and hindered development. The lack of transparency and accountability, coupled with weak institutions and a culture of impunity, allowed corruption to flourish, diverting resources away from essential services and into the pockets of corrupt officials. Africa's geography is as diverse as its people. A tapestry of towering mountains, sprawling savannas, dense rainforests, and arid deserts. This diversity contributes to the continent's natural beauty and cultural richness, but also presents significant challenges. The landscapes that inspire awe can also act as barriers to progress, shaping transportation and agriculture.
The vastness of the continent poses logistical challenges to transportation and communication. Building and maintaining roads and railways across such expansive distances is costly and complex.
Africa's geography, while posing unique challenges, also presents opportunities for innovation and sustainable development. The continent's vast solar energy potential offers a promising path towards a greener and more sustainable energy future.
Section 2. The thirst for water, a scarce and precious resource. Water, the lifeblood of any society, is a scarce and precious resource in many parts of Africa. Variable rainfall and climate change lead to frequent droughts, water shortages, and competition for this vital resource.
This scarcity impacts human health, agricultural productivity, and economic development. Access to clean drinking water remains a challenge, leading to waterborne diseases and high child mortality rates.
Women and girls often spend hours fetching water, limiting their opportunities for education and economic empowerment. Agriculture, heavily reliant on rainfall, suffers during droughts, leading to food insecurity.
The lack of irrigation infrastructure makes farmers vulnerable to weather patterns. Water shortages disrupt industries, leading to job losses and economic decline.
Sustainable water management practices like rainwater harvesting and drought-resistant crops are essential. Vulnerability to climate change. Africa contributes little to global emissions, but is highly vulnerable. Extreme weather events threaten livelihoods and development.
Agriculture, reliant on rainfall, is at risk. Droughts and floods devastate crops and infrastructure.
Climate change risks human health. Rising temperatures increase diseases like malaria.
Coastal communities face rising sea levels. Displacement leads to social unrest and urban pressure.
Addressing climate change is crucial for Africa's future. Investing in adaptation and mitigation is essential.
Corruption's grip on progress. The post-colonial era in Africa has been plagued by corruption, hampering development and eroding public trust. This scourge, inherited from colonial systems, manifests in bribery and grand larceny, enriching a few at the expense of many.
Transparency International ranks many African countries poorly, highlighting systemic corruption. This lack of transparency hinders foreign investment and domestic entrepreneurship.
The consequences are far-reaching, undermining the rule of law and eroding public services. It exacerbates inequality, affecting the poor and marginalized.
Despite challenges, there are glimmers of hope. Civil society and citizens are raising their voices, demanding transparency and accountability.
Amidst corruption and political instability, a wave of democratic movements has swept across Africa, signaling a demand for good governance and human rights.
From peaceful protests to electoral reforms, citizens are asserting their rights and demanding a greater say in governance.
The fall of dictatorships in Tunisia, Burkina Faso, and Sudan has inspired hope and demonstrated the power of collective action.
These uprisings, often led by young people, show that entrenched regimes can be challenged when citizens unite.
The path to democracy is rarely smooth, with challenges like electoral fraud and restrictions on freedom of speech.
The resilience and determination of citizens offer hope for a more democratic and prosperous Africa.
Recognizing that many challenges transcend national boundaries, African nations are increasingly embracing regional cooperation.
Organizations like the African Union and ECOWAS play a vital role in fostering dialogue and promoting regional integration.
The African Union's Agenda 2063 aims to create an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa.
This vision includes promoting peace, accelerating economic development, and enhancing Africa's voice globally.
Regional economic communities work to dismantle trade barriers and facilitate free movement within their regions.
These efforts aim to create larger markets, attract investment, and boost growth.
Regional organizations also play a crucial role in promoting peace and security.
The African Union has deployed peacekeeping missions and mediated political disputes.
Regional cooperation is not a panacea, but a united Africa is stronger than a fragmented one. Africa is a continent endowed with vast natural resources, from oil and diamonds to gold and coltan.
These resources, if managed effectively, can fuel economic growth, create jobs, and improve living standards.
However, an abundance of natural resources can sometimes be a double-edged sword, leading to the resource curse.
The resource curse refers to the paradox where resource-rich countries often experience slower economic growth and worse development outcomes.
This arises from factors like price volatility, Dutch disease, and corruption.
Breaking the resource curse requires transparent governance, economic diversification, and value addition.
Section 2. Beyond raw materials, industrialization and economic diversification. Breaking free from the resource curse requires moving beyond raw materials and embarking on industrialization and economic diversification.
This means developing local industries, adding value to raw materials, and creating a more resilient economic base.
Historically, many African countries have exported raw materials and imported finished goods, perpetuating dependency and hindering economic transformation.
Industrialization transforms an economy from agricultural to manufacturing, driving economic growth, job creation, and technological advancement.
It must focus on sustainable and inclusive growth, prioritizing environmental sustainability, social inclusion, and decent jobs. Section 3. Investing in potential, unleashing the power of entrepreneurship. One of Africa's greatest assets is its young and dynamic population, a generation brimming with creativity, entrepreneurial spirit, and a desire to shape their own destinies. Across the continent, a new generation of entrepreneurs is emerging, leveraging technology, innovation, and a global outlook to create businesses that are transforming industries and solving local challenges. However, significant challenges remain for entrepreneurs in Africa, including limited access to finance, inadequate infrastructure, and bureaucratic hurdles. Reducing bureaucracy and streamlining regulations is also essential. Simplifying business registration processes, reducing bureaucratic hurdles, and creating a more predictable and transparent regulatory environment can make a huge difference. Promoting digital literacy and skills development is equally important. Equipping young people with the digital skills and entrepreneurial knowledge they need to succeed in the 21st century economy is key. Unlocking potential, empowering minds. Education remains a significant challenge in many parts of Africa. This deficit limits opportunities and perpetuates cycles of poverty, particularly acute in rural areas with limited access to schools. The quality of education varies widely across the continent. Addressing this requires investing in quality education and infrastructure. The healthcare hurdle, a healthy population, a prosperous nation. A healthy population is the foundation of a prosperous and productive society. Access to healthcare services remains limited, particularly in rural areas and for marginalized communities. Many people face long distances to reach healthcare facilities, high costs for treatment, and a shortage of qualified healthcare professionals. Addressing Africa's healthcare challenges requires a comprehensive approach that includes strengthening healthcare systems, increasing investment in healthcare infrastructure, training and retaining healthcare professionals, and improving the supply chain for essential medicines and equipment. Expanding access to healthcare services, establishing community health programs, training community health workers, and exploring innovative ways to reach underserved populations. Promoting health education and awareness, empowering individuals to take control of their health through health education campaigns, promoting healthy lifestyles, and addressing social determinants of health. Cultural diversity, a tapestry of strength or a source of division. Africa is a continent of immense cultural diversity, a vibrant tapestry of languages, traditions, religions, and ethnicities. This diversity enriches the continent's heritage and shapes its unique identity. Yet it can lead to conflicts and hinder national unity. The challenge is harnessing diversity's benefits while mitigating division. Africa in the crosshairs of geopolitics. Africa's strategic location and resources make it a focal point of geopolitical competition. China's investments in infrastructure have made it a major player. The US seeks to reassert its influence, focusing on security and democracy. The EU remains significant in development assistance and trade. African nations must be strategic, seeking partnerships for sustainable development. By doing so, Africa can ensure a brighter and more prosperous future. Development assistance, or foreign aid, has been crucial for Africa's healthcare, education, and infrastructure. However, it often creates dependency, hindering local capacity to generate revenue. Aid is sometimes driven by donor interests, leading to misallocated resources. Free food aid can harm local farmers by depressing food prices. Supporting locally led initiatives and strengthening institutions is key. Promoting private investment and trade fosters economic growth for all. The digital revolution has transformed societies, connecting people and economies. This digital divide impacts Africa's development. It limits access to information, hindering education and healthcare. Millions are excluded from the digital economy, perpetuating inequalities. Investing in infrastructure and expanding internet access is crucial. Promoting digital literacy through education and training, supporting innovation and entrepreneurship in the digital space. Unlocking Africa's potential requires recognizing its people as the continent's greatest asset. Education holds the key to breaking cycles of poverty and empowering individuals. Healthcare is crucial. A healthy population is a productive population. Invest in skills development and vocational training for the 21st century economy. While investments in human capital are crucial, they will not yield their full potential without good governance.
Corruption and a lack of accountability have plagued many African countries, eroding trust in government.
Good governance is about transparency, accountability, and the rule of law.
It's about creating a level playing field for businesses and ensuring equitable economic growth.
Section 3. Harnessing partnerships, amplifying impact. Addressing Africa's challenges requires collective effort. No single actor has all the answers. The key is harnessing partnerships to share knowledge and amplify impact. Promoting trade and investment is crucial. Addressing climate change is another vital area. The private sector plays a crucial role in development. By investing in people and promoting good governance, we can create a brighter future for Africa.
Section 1. A tapestry of resilience. We've journeyed through centuries of African history, from ancient empires to colonial struggles, but to focus solely on the challenges is to miss the extraordinary resilience of the African spirit. Throughout history, the people of Africa have faced adversity with remarkable courage and determination. We've seen this resilience in farmers, healthcare workers, teachers and activists. It's in the music, the art and the belief in a better future. Section 2. Writing a new narrative. For too long, the narrative about Africa has been shaped by outsiders. It's time to flip the script, to challenge the stereotypes and misconceptions. Africa is a tapestry of 54 unique nations, a place where ancient traditions coexist with cutting-edge innovation. Solutions will come from within, from the people committed to building a better future. Let's highlight stories of innovation, entrepreneurship and progress. Section 3. The African Century. The 21st century holds immense promise for Africa. With its young population and abundant resources, Africa can become a global economic powerhouse. This potential is already being realized in many sectors. Innovation is surging in cities like Lagos, Nairobi and Cape Town. Entrepreneurs are transforming industries and improving lives. The continent is also home to a vibrant creative industry. Realizing Africa's potential requires investment in education, healthcare and infrastructure. It will require good governance and global partnerships. The African Century is an opportunity to build a thriving future. Africa's success and achievements. From technological innovations to cultural milestones, Africa has shown remarkable progress. Countries like Rwanda and Ghana are leading in tech advancements, while Nigeria's Nollywood is a global film powerhouse. The continent's rich cultural heritage and natural resources continue to inspire and drive growth. Africa's youth are at the forefront of change, creating a brighter future for all. As we celebrate these achievements, it's clear that Africa is not just a continent of potential, but one of realized dreams and ongoing triumphs. With every innovation, with every artistic creation, and with every step forward, Africa is not just participating in the global dialogue, it is leading it. This is a testament to the resilience, creativity, and determination of its people. The story of Africa is one of continual growth and boundless opportunities. As we look to the future, we see a continent that is not just surviving, but thriving, building a legacy of success for generations to come. Together, we can ensure that Africa's success and achievements continue to shine as a beacon of hope, and inspiration for the entire world.